is up, guys? We are live. We are live. We are live. I feel like we're getting some more respect. Could the West Virginia Mountaineers actually be getting more respect as the game grows closer? Lots of people picking the Mountaineers over the last couple of days in different ways, shapes, and forms. Obviously, there's Pat Mcafee. Let me raise this microphone up some here. Obviously, there's Pat Mcafee. We know he's going to pick the West Virginia Mountaineers. And then WWE superstar Sheamus also picked the West Virginia Mountaineers to win the Big 12. Notre Dame, the Irish, to win the national championship, which I thought was pretty funny. And then Marty Smith. Sorry, my microphone needs readjusted. Marty Smith from ESPN picking the West Virginia Mountaineers to go to the playoff. We're going to explore that a little bit and just kind of have fun with it, right? We're going to talk about the possibility because we're going to find out really quick. A week from today, I'm probably going to be doing a show about something in regards to the Mountaineers and their capabilities this year. Because the ultimate litmus test is when. It's in 6 days, guys. The ultimate litmus test is against the Penn State Nittany Lions, a team that's ranked in the top 10 of the college football playoff standings, AP top 25, all that. They come to Morgantown in what's going to be a pretty big test. And if the Mountaineers can pull this thing out, then we can really have this conversation. But we're going to have it just a week too early really quick. Let's move over here to X. Share my screen with you. We're also going to be talking about somebody who I feel he was really, really off as the West Virginia Mountaineers bandwagon last year. Mr. Walker from Barstool, who was Dave Portnoy's, I think, second command. I could be wrong about that. Definitely had a lot to say about the Mountaineers as well. And then there's other people on that show that truly know nothing. Like their reason for not thinking we were going to win this year was we lost a lot on defense. And I was thinking, what did we lose really? We lost a couple pieces, yeah, but I wouldn't say we lost a lot on defense. I don't know. Anyway, so let's go over here to X, and I don't know if I can play this or not. I'm afraid to play it. It is an ESPN program, so probably not a good idea to hit play on that. But the Big 12 is going to be electrifying. And Pat McAfee goes on to pick West Virginia to win the conference, also mentioning Oklahoma State heavily. Let's go over here to Marty Smith. And if you don't know who Marty Smith is, he's truly one of the – he's a true Southerner. He's got that real thick country accent. He's a big NASCAR guy. He has been talking NASCAR for years for ESPN. And he put out his – college football playoff list yesterday. I want to say it was right before the game kicked off. I'm going to find it. There it is right there. Okay, y'all. We're half an hour from the college football season kickoff. Let's see how cold our college football playoff prediction takes are come December. My top 4 Power 4 conference champs are number 4, West Virginia football. Number 3, Clemson football. Number 2, Ohio State football. Number 1, Georgia football. Who y'all got? And then he also tagged Old Texas foes in this. So not a lot of confidence in this pick for Marty Smith. But curious to know what you guys think about that possibility, because we've heard a lot about the West Virginia Mountaineers as Big 12 contenders at different points in the offseason, but not college football playoff. So, obviously, if you win the Big 12, you're in the college football playoff field. You're going to get one team in automatically. So, they do kind of go hand in hand, but it's almost like you got to get to one before you can start thinking about the other. I think is how most people feel about that. All right, let's read off the channel sponsor thing here, and then we'll keep it going here. All right. Today's video is sponsored by, you guys know and love them, Magic Shine Auto Spawn Tint, and that's in Morgantown, West Virginia. At Magic Shine, your vehicle's care is their top priority. Their very top priority, guys. They do a great job there. They use only the highest quality products to ensure your car not only looks its best, but is also protected and maintained with the utmost care. From window tinting with top-of-the-line Max Pro Tint to protective ceramic coatings from Diamond Protect, they've got you covered. Drive it today and experience the difference of Magic Shine Auto Spawn Tint, where your car shines like new. And don't forget to shine on, Morgantown. All right. Appreciate you guys for joining here. Now, somebody that's usually on here for almost every live stream is Timothy Green. And he sent me a comment yesterday saying that he was in the hospital. He's also a channel moderator. Also, I haven't seen Shaggy of West Virginia in a long time either. Both those guys are channel moderators on the channel. But even more important, I haven't really seen any of them in a while, especially Timothy until yesterday. If you're a praying person or if you're a person that likes to send positive thoughts out in the atmosphere, send some out for Timothy Green. He's an excellent dude. He's truly been a huge supporter of mine, along with Shaggy. And I haven't seen any of those, either one of them. I keep track of you guys. You guys, I remember your names, and when you're here every day, I post every day, or at least try to. And so my regulars, I remember your names and really give a F about, how often you come back and all that. So hopefully he's okay and gets through what he's going through. Russell Snyder, Simo, Silas, Go Ears 206. What's up, everybody? Those of you watching on X, can't thank you guys enough as well for everything. And you guys always support me so well over there too. Let's see if it is reposted. I just wanted to make sure. So thank you, Eric Flowers. West Virginia, excuse me, guys, get a lot of support. And it's an odd position to be in because we've been in this position of chip on shoulder, right, here as of late, the last basically year. It's been nobody gives us any respect. Nobody believes in us. And here the last week, it's been a lot different. I'm going to try to find this preview that was done on by Barstool about the Big 12, and it's on YouTube. And I'm going to kind of go over that because there were some things said in it I think you guys it'll pique your interest as well as piss you off, which is what I'm trying to do to an extent. All right. Let's see. Big 12. Big 12 preview. Barstool, I think it is. Yeah, here it is right here. Okay. So I think it's at 48 minutes in. Let me share the screen with you. All right. What's up, David Hopp? What's up, Eric Flowers? What's up, Christopher Miller? Welcome, guys. Welcome. All right, so I want to say it's at about 40 minutes in. My memory serves. And this was going to be what my video was about because this really, really attractive lady on the left doesn't know much about West Virginia. I'll just say that. And I'm going to try to find – it may take me some moving around. Just stay patient. I'm going to move around to a couple different spots looking for certain spots to play that I've heard them talk about. So just give me a second here.
I mean, listen, he came in last year and was a total game changer. As much as a game changer we saw in college football last year,
Their inherent advantages in the Pac-12 are
because we know that's not true. But the way that Utah has been able to,
so that they have won 2 straight Pac-12 titles.
I think 8 teams is too many. I would say the top 4 for me, that if I was really looking at, again, from inside the conference is different, but if I'm looking at it from a national standpoint, I think there's maybe 2 teams that I would put there. But I think
she's already discrediting herself already. I was looking for this spot here because 2 teams in the Big 12, that's all you got. It may end up being that way, but there's no way you could know that from the outset. And she did preface it by saying from a national level. I get that. She's not looking at it from as deep as I do. I just don't understand why you have a preview on something if you don't know anything about it. I mean, I guess there's people I don't know. I'm just different. If I do a preview on a conference or a team, I got to have time to look into that. I don't like to look dumb. I at least like to know something. If you're having me on just to guess, what the heck's the point of doing it? Anyway, 40 minutes in, I believe it is. They talk about West Virginia here, so let's see.
I can look, like, when you talk about like coaching hire, like scratching your head decisions, like he's up there. He is up there, but like all the stuff that we've talked about, because like he wanted the hell out before, and
we thought he was going to be getting canned or go somewhere else. He can take the Michigan job, maybe the Michigan State
starters at offensive line to bolster that. The defense was not good. They brought in guys in the transfer portal. Now, Deion's not recruiting in high school. They did go out and fix the issues that were the biggest one. And
I think there's some other. Okay.
I'm talking just football standing.
I know it's like right here.
Standing, looking down in the grave of Neil Brown.
Yeah, here it is.
Standing. I belong.
Stop, so we don't get demonetized. That was 5
seconds.
Hold on,
we got to hear that.
West didn't help the offensive line out very much. Does he get over that? Does that come along in time? I don't know. Offensive line was bad, but will he do the same thing to this offense? I don't know. It's just I think they got too far to go.
All right, here we go.
Too far to go.
Sorry, guys.
Sure. Okay, Brandon, who's your surprise team?
Country roads take me home to a place I belong.
Stop, so we don't get demonetized. That was 5 seconds.
West Virginia. West Virginia. This time last year, we were basically you, me, Jack, and Katie were standing looking down in the grave of Neil Brown, and we had shovels, and we were just throwing dirt on him. We were throwing dirt on him. It's over for you. You're fired. You'll be gone. Forget it, Neil Brown. Well,
this guy knows ball.
Guess what? He started climbing out, and he climbed out. He climbed out because he has a good quarterback. He climbed out because he has a good running game. He climbed out because he has one of the best offensive lines in the Big 12. He climbed out because they can score points. And he did so in a year. They had that loss to Penn State. They have probably the best opportunity of any Big 12 team in America in week 1. They get to play Penn State at home. And you talk about a tougher, tricky place. West Virginia is a tougher, tricky place. I'm not saying they're going to beat Penn State because I like Penn State a lot. I think Penn State's a very good team. I think they'll at least scare them. And they have a schedule that looks tough on the surface. Out of the top 7 Big 12 teams, they play 6 of them. Well, guess what?
I want to say something else really quick, too. This is off this topic just a little bit, but it pertains to this topic. Last year, when we were looking at our schedule going into the year, everybody says we didn't play a tough schedule. You know what aggravates me about this? Last year, we were looking at a schedule with TCU and Texas Tech. Texas Tech was basically in our spot. They would be a really sexy dark horse pick for the Big 12 championship. And then TCU was coming off a final, right, against Georgia, where they laid a true egg. But they were in the national championship game, and they lost to Colorado in the first week of the season and kind of went to hell in a handbasket after that. But before the season, Pitt hadn't been that bad yet. We were looking at a murderer's row last year, and it didn't quite turn out that way. Oklahoma State still turned out to be good. Everything was reversed. They started out bad and ended up good. Point is, how do we know this schedule is going to be as bad as we think it is? We don't. So I just think it's dumb in general to try to use that, but you don't have – I get it. You got nothing else. You can only go off last year's. We know how unbalanced – sorry, guys, I should have ate right before I came on. We know how unbalanced these predictions are, but it just annoys me because last year in the preseason, we 11 Power 5 games, one of only 3 teams to do that. And then now it's you guys didn't play anybody last year as a reason to say why we're not going to be very good this year. And it just pisses me off.
I think they can handle themselves. I think they end up in the top 5 of this conference. I think they end up at that 8 or 9 win range. I think, defensively, they had some losses, had some transfer losses. They brought in some other transfers. It's going to be kind of a patchwork.
She was taking note of that. Watch.
Defense. But I know I got a quarterback. I know I got a running game. I know I got an offensive line. And I know I got a coach who is on his second life. I like West Virginia and the new look Big 12. I like them a lot.
Okay. You are 100% right, by the way. I think that we all said Neil Brown would be the first coach fired.
It was done.
I think we said I think he wouldn't get out of September is what we all said.
It was absolutely done. It was finito, finished. It was gone, but he saved it. He brought it back. So now we move on to our most disappointing team in the Big 12, and I'm almost certain that me and Big Ev are going to have the same one. But Big Ev, you go first.
Yeah, my most disappointing team, unfortunately, because they were very good to me betting wise last year, is Arizona. I think they just had
going into that season, and yes, they'll be fine. I don't Virginia.
Here we go again with this girl.
Made all 8 games even. So yeah, they're going to be disappointed. I don't think they're going to contend for the Big 12 title this year and be like a middle-ish to maybe high middle of the road team in the Big 12.
Casey, who's your most disappointing team in the Big 12?
Well, this goes against exactly what you just said, Brandon. I like West Virginia. I think that the hype around West Virginia is too high. I love their offense. Their defense lost a ton. And again, I think that they'll be fine. I don't think we're looking at a Neil Brown hot seat by any stretch by the end of this year. But the momentum that they had at the end of last season, and I think Garrett Green is great, the whole running back, wide receiver trifecta, all of that. I think that the expectations for them, where there was smoke, there was a little bit of fire going into that season. And yes, they found a way to win a lot of those games. I just don't expect it to be repeated. I don't think that they're going to go out and win 0 conference games, but I think there's way too much expectation for a coach that literally we had fired, dead and buried going into the season. Now, I could be completely wrong, but I think that West Virginia fans are looking at this like, shit, we almost fired our guy and we're going to win the Big 12 title this year. West Virginia is not winning the Big 12 this year, which is why I think they'll be the most disappointing.
I don't get that at all. That take makes no sense. We're picked 8th. We're picked 8th. Like, from a fan base perspective, yes, expectations are high because I'm trying not to cuss here, because we freaking do this, and we look deep into our team, obviously, and I can say from 100% with 100% certainty, because when it times to actually have like reality come into play, I don't mess with that. Like, there have been years in the past where I have felt like certain players were going to do well on a national level, or certain parts of the team were going to do well on a national level. I have never felt as confident about a West Virginia team. I can't remember when. I can't remember when the last time was, So it could be delusion. Maybe it is delusion. I don't know. This is really as a streamer, especially the first time I've ever had to really do this with a good team, like a team that I feel like can actually be really good. And I really don't have anything to compare it to because basketball has been fairly mediocre as well. So, but personally, we're picked 8th. How can we be the most disappointing? I mean, if you're talking about from a fan base perspective, yes, I'll give you that. But to say we lost a lot on defense, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? We lost Toby to Florida State. That was a big loss. Lockhart went to SMU. Okay, that was a big loss. Beatty, he's gone. And then Lee is gone. That's a good bit off of defense, but I don't know if it's a ton, considering what we have back, which is the entire defensive line, the entire linebacking core, a couple of pieces in the secondary are back, especially Aubrey Burks and Anthony Wilson. And then you look at the corner spots. Yes, we had to go deep into the portal to fix that. But is Lee Koba, would he be the best defender on this team this year? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see on that. But he's going to be, in my opinion, you're talking about biggest loss, it's got to be Koba. The reason I say that is because we didn't have a good pass defense last year, and we had Beanie. We had to play zone coverage still because Beanie was not a great guy on an island. We've already seen Garnett Hollis getting mid-round draft. People are saying he's a mid-round draft pick. It's possible that Garnett Hollis could have a bigger impact than Beanie or Charles Woods did. If they do it again this year, I'll be absolutely convinced that they know the kind of player that they're looking for in the portal if they hit again on another corner. Charles Woods doesn't get injured going into not last year, but the year before that. Or was it last year? I guess it was going into last year. No, it was year before. But Charles Woods, the year before that, hit hard. Obviously all conference. And then he got hurt and then transferred, which sucks. But then Beanie came in, became an All-American. And that's not even counting Jasir Cox, who came in. They got him as well. So, in my opinion, this staff, Jordan Leslie and company, Jordan Leslie has been mentioned at all this offseason, and I really feel like Jordan Leslie is one of those coaches that stands to benefit as much as anybody because he was looked at for the Troy job. People forget about that. Jordan Leslie was looked at for the Troy job. A lot of it had to do with familiarity, but a lot of it had to do with I think he's a pretty good coach. We have not just flat out had the talent on defense to compete like at a high level. And a lot of those same guys are still on the defense, So it's kind of scary in that respect. When you look at it like that, I mean, we were a top 65, I think, defense last year. You've got to bump that up at least 15 spots to 20. You've got to be a top 50, top 40 defense to win the Big 12, in my opinion, with this offense. But I think the pieces we've added do put us in a position to prove her wrong. That's just my opinion. So don't forget to like the video, guys, while you're here. If you don't care, it's the best way you can support me. Actually, the best way you can support me, you know what's crazy? And I think I've mentioned this before. I'm going to do it again, though. There have been at least 2 streams here in the last month, let's say, that it tells me 35 people are watching on X right now. And the last 2 streams I've said, listen, if you guys can just hit repost on the video, it's 1 click or 2 clicks. It would help my channel more than anything, more than any money you can give me. And there's literally 0 people on both of those streams clicked it. And I just don't is it lying to me? Is nobody listening to me on X? I'm truly trying to figure out why I can't get anybody to just repost the stream. I understand, I just don't know if the message is not getting across or if people are that dislike me or watching it. But if you were watching this, can you please repost the stream if you're on X? It truly would make a big difference for me in the channel. It really would, because the only way you can grow is if people share your stuff. So I don't want to go off on a big tangent, but I'm one of those. You see, I post every single day. I'm really trying hard to do this, and I'm in the middle of a transition. The weekend came, of course. We were supposed to be going into Locked On. I gave them the feed and everything on Friday. And for whatever reason, my YouTube channel is set to I can't make anybody else an owner but myself. And I seem to remember when I first made the channel, I better set it to this so that I'm never tempted to sell it or give it away, I think was my thought process. And now here I am in a situation to where I don't think I can give them – I can make them a manager, but I don't think I can actually give them the feed. And I don't know what's going to happen with this Locked On thing. We may have to give them the Hoops channel. I don't know, but we'll figure it out. I know they still want me to do it. We talked about it Friday. So just keep sticking with me, guys, because I know you guys have all been waiting on me to transition into that Locked On phase. And I'm not going to quit posting. I'm not going to sit here and wait. It'd have been 2 weeks by now. So anyways, get back to some of these comments. Let's move on up. Drumwolf, I saw you asked about how you can get a hold of me. And I left you my email under that comment. So if you want to do that, you can. Also, down here under the screen where you see it in yellow and black, it's scrolling across the bottom of the screen, at Paul Mountaineer. You can find me on X, at Paul Mountaineer, and follow me and just send me a comment, tag me, or you can message me. If you ever have to talk to me, I answer all my messages, as long as you're a real person. Obviously, I look into the profile first to make sure that they're like real and not only have one follower or one never only follower, because you never know like what kind of scheme you're getting messed up in. So we actually got more talented players. I'm excited about our defense. Hopefully they don't disappoint, says Tosh Miller. Roger Dodger, what's up, man? Positive is the best policy preseason. Positivity, yeah. The players we have on defense are graded much higher. My people, what's up, brother? What's up, Mo? How you doing, brother? What's up, Forrest? How you doing, man? Bishop and Ruffin were the only significant losses on defense. The other guys weren't that good. I disagree. I think Lee Koba was. He was having to make up for two freshmen on either side of him. So you got to consider that, Forrest. He did misfit a lot. The Kansas game comes to mind. It was one of the worst defensive performances I've ever seen from a linebacker. But it was also like his second start ever, right, at West Virginia. And Andy Kotelnicki, speaking of Penn State, was the offensive coordinator for that game. And if you don't know the story behind that game, Kansas, West Virginia, when they came, this is before they turned it around. We were the actual first game they really started to think we turned it around. Kansas had never beaten West Virginia. And they come to Morgantown against a decent West Virginia team. We felt pretty good about that team. I think that was the JT Daniels team. And they beat us. It was a high-scoring game. Don't remember all the details. So I reached out to somebody that told me basically that was a week 2 game. Kansas played an FCS opponent week 1, if you'll remember. And they ran a spread passing offense. And in week 2, they ran that heavy motion offense that they ran through the Kansas all throughout. And so what they were able to do was, because they knew they had enough talent not to really prepare 100% for the FCS team, and ran their true offense against West Virginia. We didn't know what they were going to run. They would have been at Buffalo, Wisconsin, Whitewater, and we didn't know what they were going to do. And they literally blindsided us with a completely new attack. And so Lee Koba was really blindsided in that game. He looked so bad. It was horrible. But I would love to have Lee back on this defense. I think he would be great alongside the two. Man, could you imagine if Lee was still on this defense? Leo, what's up, brother? He said, hey, Paul, maybe the playoffs for the conference. They should win 9 games and get a bowl, but not win the Big 12. Too much expectation to promises. I mean, that's reasonable, Leo, but I think that getting to the Big 12 championship game is reasonable for this team, considering what's on the team and what's in the conference. So, and just like this guy's name, sky's the limit. I've never felt good since Holgersuck took over and he was given talent and did nothing with it but destroy it. Neil came in and had to rebuild the entire program from scratch. Yeah, he did. And I'll be honest, after 4 years, I was over it. Just like they said, we had Neil buried. We did. But, at the end of the day, I did say it. Listen, it's crazy. Somebody commented to me yesterday and said, don't say phrases like at the end of the day. What? It's a transitional phrase. Like sometimes you have to think about what you're going to say next, and it really made me not self-conscious, but aware of the fact that I say it. And now it's driving me nuts. I'm going to have to practice myself out of saying it, but I don't know what to say at the end of the day. Cause it's like, I guess I've been saying it for so long. I also say like a lot. But I'm not a professional broadcaster. I'm working towards some of those goals, but I can't work with the people I want to work with until I get enough money. Like you have to pay people to teach you like the professional ins and outs. So, if you're listening to this and you can't stand that, I'm just a fan, guys. That I built a channel that a company sees some potential in me. So I feel good about that, and I'm grateful for it. But I'm not John Kurtz. John Kurtz he's got a background. He's in the radio, all that good stuff. Like, he's truly been trained to do this, which is why he's got such a large following as well. So, not that he and I can't have the same goals and I can't do just as good or better, but I just want to, put that caveat in there. Like, you can't just comment to me and say, don't say that. It's just not going to happen, like, it's going to make me want to say it even more. Guys, now that I've got everybody in here too, Timothy Green's been in the hospital, and you guys know he's in the chat a lot. And unfortunately, I don't know what for, but please keep him in your thoughts and prayers. He commented on one of my videos yesterday and said he was in the what Forrest just said caught me off guard. We disagree on this one, Forrest. I mean, look, we're not going to agree on everything, but if you think Koba wouldn't be in the 2 deep this year, you're wrong on that one, man. That's just my opinion. But I love the linebackers this year, but he would probably start in the middle. I do believe, but it's a fruitless conversation. He's gone. So, why waste energy on it, man? But yeah, keep Timothy in your thoughts and prayers, guys. He's obviously going through a tough time. Yeah, I know, Smack. She is pretty. I'll give her that. I've still got them up there, don't I? I haven't even taken them off the screen yet. If you guys are just joining, basically this is the Barstool, or it's called Unnecessary Roughness, but I think these guys are Barstool. Am I wrong about that? Let me make sure. I could be wrong with that. I don't want to mislabel them. No, it's Barstool. That's what I thought, because Brandon Walker, that's what I was getting ready to say. Brandon Walker is basically like, he's one of the most recognizable guys there at Barstool, Dave Portnoy. The guy, he does the pizza reviews, but he's known for being a Boston super fan, Patriots super fan, Michigan super fan. He's one of the most entertaining guys out there. And I almost did a video on this, but basically the guy here on the right picked West Virginia to win the conference. The lady on the left said we're going to be the most disappointing team in the conference, even though we're picked 8th preseason. The guy in the middle is a Utah fan. And so obviously we know he picked Utah. I'll tell you what, if there's one thing I want to see more than anything this year, second to West Virginia winning the conference, I want to see Utah lose the conference. I'm almost to the point that if Pitt was in this conference, I would almost rather see them win it than Utah. That's how sick I am of hearing about Utah. Like, I want to do a video on it so bad. I really do, because I think I just think they're overrated. I do. I don't care what anybody else says. People can get mad at me. I'm going to say it. I think Utah's overrated. They won 8 games last year with a great defense, and they return all these guys from 2022, and everybody's excited. I need to see it, because just like this guy on the right said, he made a great case. Let me see if I can find it. All right. Where the heck did the play button go? Oh. Oh, man, I was clicking the wrong screen. Lord help me. All right, let me see if I can find this real quick, guys.
Serious and hire a Cincinnati level coach, because he sucks. He does. And
like Rocco Beck, thought he had a really, really good defense, going to be really, really good. And I really think they're going to be a team that's going to be in the upper.
Absolutely do not. Do I think they're going to make a bowl game? Look at the power that they're.
Cars.com.
Sorry,
have
guys,
everything.
I'm trying to find this really quick.
Animus Vanderbilt, except for
I think they're going to have it this year. It's going to be a process for Willie Fritz to get in there, but
like that, I don't see them improving really, really quickly. So I'm going to agree with Big Ev. I think Willie Fritz is a great.
that's why, because I think they far and away have the worst coach in the league, and I think.
Well, anyway, I don't want to sit here and make you guys watch me do that, but basically he was saying that Utah has been able to dominate in the Pac-12 against, although good competition, paper soft. And to this guy's credit, he actually sees the Big 12 for what it is now and doesn't remember it for what it was. I'm just talking to a guy yesterday. You know what he thinks? I don't want to put him out there, because he's a buddy. But, he's from the Midwest. And you guys would know who he is, too. That's the thing. He thought the Big 12 still played 2012 defense, like 70-63 West Virginia Baylor. Like that stigma has not left the Big 12 at all. Like, it's like this. Do you watch the Mid-American Conference outside of if you're just a casual fan? No. If the Mid-American Conference had a shift from, let's say, a defensive heavy league to an offensive heavy league, would you really know about it? Probably not, right? Similarly to the Big 12, a lot of people would think that we're like a group of five conference. Like, seriously, they do. There are people out there that look at us that way. The Penn State fans do. I can't tell you how many Penn State fans have messaged me this week and said, you guys play the equivalent of a group of five roster or schedule. Like, that's really how they feel, And it's what they've been told because they're in the Big Ten. Like, they really have this better than thou, holier than thou kind of feeling, like, because it's, they've been put on a pedestal in the Big Ten and the SEC. And if you're told you're great, so many times you listen. And so they really think we play this soft schedule. Anyway, back to Big 12 defense. Obviously, it's not 100% top to bottom. But, like, if you just look at how far Kansas has come, that's a great example. The athletes they have on defense now is truly just a complete 180. Drumwolf says, why is everyone high on Utah so much, especially this being their first time in the Big 12? Look what happened to WVU when they played their first year. That was with Geno Smith. Yeah, I think I'm not disagreeing with you, Drumwolf, but I think the big thing on Utah is they're coming in with a much better defense than we had, right? And also they don't have to face Oklahoma and Texas. So those are two huge things. Would you agree with that? Not having to play Oklahoma, at least, let's just say even Oklahoma and now Texas towards the end, is a big deal. Oh, tailbone. And then obviously their defense is better than what ours was coming in. Now, offense, no. I don't think so. But it's not bad. I think Utah's a top 4 team. I'm not saying that. I just don't think they're going to win the conference. I feel exactly like Walker feels. When they come up against a team that they can't bully, we'll find out what they're made of then. When they play Kansas State, when they play Oklahoma State, when they play even maybe Iowa State, I don't even know if they play Iowa State this year. By the way, another reason people are so high on them, have you actually looked at the Utah schedule? It's truly like, look, I'm not even going to pull punches here. I believe partially that let me share this. It's a little bit of a conspiracy theory by me, but I think Brent Yormark realizes that Utah being so, because they're popular nationally, obviously Colorado would be, if you're just talking about for the conference. And listen, I dislike Deion Sanders. A lot of us do, the way he's handled this situation. But as far as media coverage goes, Colorado winning the Big 12 would be the end-all be-all for the conference. Like, there's no bigger it can get, right? As far as media coverage goes, like national exposure for the Big 12. Well, Utah is probably, third, second on that list, somewhere there. And they got here's the schedule they were gifted. So Southern Utah, Baylor, Utah State are the first 3 games. Gosh, then they got Oklahoma State at home, which is a tough game. Then they've got Arizona. They go to Oklahoma State. Then they've got Utah at home. Then they've got Arizona State. So they got all the teams, that they had been playing. Like, come on, man. When West Virginia came to the Big 12, we didn't get Louisville, Pitt, and Syracuse. You know what I'm saying? Like, they weren't in the conference, but you know what I'm saying. So after Arizona, it's Arizona State. Then they've got TCU, who could be much better than we like. They're one of those teams like they could be a top 25 team come October 19th, or they could be a 3 or 4 win team. Depends on Josh Huber, right? Who I'm as high on as anybody in the conference. They're going to smoke Houston. BYU's another team that could beat you, but probably won't. We would love to have them on the schedule this year. Then they got Colorado, who knows what that's going to look like by the time they get to week 10 or week 9. Dion could be gone by then, or they could be in the driver's seat. Then they got Iowa State, which could be tricky towards the end of the year. That might even have some Big 12 ramifications by then. You never know. And UCF, which could be tricky. So in order for the schedule not to be basically paper, by the way, so Southern Utah, first of all, is a really, really easy win for them. Baylor is probably going to be an easy win for them. Utah State is going to be a win for them. Oklahoma State's a really tough game. It's the toughest game on their schedule, which we also have. And then Arizona is a team that they're really, really familiar with, along with Arizona State. So you got to feel good about those games for Utah. TCU, they should still win, so they should still beat Houston. They should beat BYU, Colorado, Iowa State, UCF. Still, they should be favored in those games. So you look at this, there's only 1 or 2 chances you feel pretty decent about them even having a chance to lose. Like, I think it's got to be Oklahoma State and probably Arizona. And then also in the as another possibility of losing, Iowa State or UCF are games that you just don't know how they're going to look. UCF's a really, really interesting team this year. They are. The quarterback, KJ Jefferson, is exactly the kind of quarterback that Malzahn had when Cam Newton came along. He's basically a Cam Newton clone. So can he have that success with him? We'll see. But that's why a lot of people are so high on Utah. It's just a combination of they have a lot of talent, and they have a lot of talent and a great defense. And, obviously Cam Rising's back, so for his 17th year. All right. Keep Chopping says Penn State beats up on the Indiana Purdue's of the world, not different than WVU. What are you trying to say, brother? I'm trying to figure out what that means exactly. If you're trying to say we're not different than the Indiana and Purdue's of the world, then I would disagree with that. Just generally speaking, West Virginia's won top 15 all-time wins, played national championship games, won several BCS bowl games. Like, it's not even close. If you're talking about year to year here recently, we're still better than that, especially this year. Like, we're nowhere near close to what an Indiana or Purdue's going to be this year. At the end of the day, we're just going to smack them in the mouth on this coming Saturday. I've got $100 on it. So, and I'm a cheapskate. So I'm just telling you, West Virginia is going to smack Penn State. A lot of people are going to be shocked, except us. And I will come on here after the game and either eat my words or tell you how shocked I'm not. That's basically where it's at. Remind me what artificial noisemakers are allowed in Mountaineer Field again? I don't know, Chris. That's a question I don't have the answer to be honest, brother. Week. Mountaineer Larry with Kenny. How you doing, brother? Man, it's about time for them slaw dogs, by the way. Oh, man, I need that recipe from you, brother. Don't you make your own slaw for that? It would be hilarious if the Pac-12 teams won the Big 12, and the ACC. No, it wouldn't. It would not be funny. Only a Pac-12 former fan would think of that, but not going to happen, I mean, it's just not, especially the ACC, not a chance, but see where you're going there. By the way, guys, if you want to donate to the channel, super chat button is wide open as always. Just at the, I don't know what it looks like these days. It's got a dollar sign on it. I think it says thank you, show your thanks, whatever. If you want to help the channel out, but I would prefer, rather than money, if you could just share the link to this stream in X or Facebook, or if you're watching this via X, which that says there's 56 of you. I just went on a rant about this earlier. But the last two streams, I've asked anybody on X to repost the stream. If you're watching it, just hit the retweet button. And nobody did the last two times. So if you do want to help the channel out, don't hate me or anything like that. I would appreciate a retweet. All right. So you might know how to finalize cowbell. Well, everybody needs a little cowbell. I got a fever. The only prescription is more cowbell. Florida State's overrated. What's up, John? Haven't seen you in a couple of days. Yeah, everybody's picking on poor Florida State today, aren't they? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, keep chopping. I apologize then. %. I don't know about that much of it, Joe, but I see where you're going. I mean, if you look at the Big Ten, let's just look at it. Let's compare Big Ten and Big 12 just team for team. Let's try that. Might be kind of fun. We exit out of that. Okay. So you got Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Maryland, Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, Nebraska, Northwestern, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Purdue, Rutgers, UCLA, USC, Washington, and Wisconsin. All right, so obviously Wisconsin is, if they were in the Big 12, they'd be contenders most years. I think that's fair to say. I consider them to be in the Oklahoma State category. They win a lot of games there. They're an 8 to 9 win team pretty much every year. I mean, they do have a down year here and there, but Wisconsin, and I would love to have Wisconsin. I love they're as close to a Big 12 school as you can get in the Big 10 as far as it being a college town and all that. And their basketball is terrific, so I would they would be in the top 2 or 3 teams I would want to add. Obviously, Ohio State and Michigan are not even in the conversation, or neither are they. I'm not saying that they are, by the way. I'm just hypothetical. Washington is their most, obviously they had the one-off. Historically, they'd be the best brand in the Big 12. I'm just being completely honest here. Historically, I don't know about the best, but they would be in the conversation, right? They've got a ton of history, So Rose Bowl's out to wazoo. USC, it's not even close. They'd be the biggest brand in the Big 12. It's not even close. UCLA, now if you're talking about on the field right now, I think USC would be a mid-tier team in the Big 12 this year, But if you're measuring like historically versus what they can do on the field now, those are two different things. UCLA would be a bottom-tier team in the league. And keep in mind, guys, I don't know a lot about these teams this year. I just follow the Big 12 mostly, until the season starts, then I keep up. Rutgers, I think that speaks for itself, although they've gotten better here recently. They're a bottom dweller team, no doubt about it. I don't think there's a team on our schedule year in and year out that's as easy as Rutgers. So, That's one of the teams in the Big 12 that we wish we had the Big 12 like Kansas used to be or Iowa State used to be when we first got in. Like those were wins, Purdue was a tough game. They're the kind of team that can beat you any week. They're one of those 6 to 8 win teams yearly. So I would put them in probably the West Virginia category as far as the last 10 years. Like now, historically, it's not close. But like I don't know about the West Virginia category. Probably more like trying to think of a team that maybe like the Baylor category would be better, even though they just won the conference a couple of years ago, something we haven't done. Penn State's going to be an upper echelon team. Oregon's an upper echelon team. Ohio State's an upper echelon team. So when you really start to go through it, obviously they have more teams, or do they? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So they have more teams. So that, that changes it a little bit. But as far as the amount, because they have more teams, then there's also divisions, which one division is much tougher than the other. I'm trying to remember which is which. But Illinois is an average team. Indiana's an average team. Iowa's a really good team. They beat Iowa State pretty much every year. But they have obviously we know they have no offense. Maryland is West Virginia's whipping boy for years, except 1 or 2 odd years. Michigan speaks for itself. Michigan State would be a middle tier to upper tier team some years in the Big 12. Minnesota would be a middle of the road team in the Big 12, probably like top 3/4. And then Nebraska is a weird one because if they came back to the Big 12, personally, I think it would be a great move for them. Yeah, I really do, but they're not going to do it. But they're probably another middle of the road type team. They're along the lines of the Texas Techs and Baylor's of the world as well. So I think what you get out of these teams, is especially if you're good, you get a week off every now and again. Like, how nice would it be to be able to go to Indiana they can be tough some years, I respect it, but Rutgers, Indiana, Illinois, Maryland, basically now, and in Nebraska, Northwestern. I don't really want to lump Purdue in with those teams. They're a step above. I feel like those teams just a step above. But Illinois, Indiana, this is just my opinion. Maryland, Northwestern, Rutgers, UCLA. Am I missing somebody? Well, there's at least 6 teams there that I would consider to be easier than almost any Big 12 team this year. So almost. Obviously you're going to have some variance there, but so of the 6 I mentioned, who would you take over so Arizona State is pretty bad right now. So is Baylor and BYU. Cincinnati's not very good right now. Neither is Houston. So we have our teams too, but they just don't happen to be on West Virginia's schedule this year, And we don't have the top. Obviously, at the top of the top, we don't have the what they have, but I think what we have is a lot of our middle tier and upper 3/4 tier teams are better than theirs. Like I said, Wisconsin would be the Oklahoma State level, but it gets about as good as it gets for their middle tier teams. When you get to the Purdue, I would comp Purdue to probably an Iowa State, something like that. I don't know. It's a weird conversation to even have. It's hard to do. So curious what you guys think about that. I probably look like an idiot just trying to do that, but all right. Anyway, point being, there's outs no matter what conference you play in, right? Roger Dodger, not near with Kenny. Hello, I think I remember you from Gold Blue Dudes channel. Hope all is well. Yeah. You know what's crazy is I tried to get that channel. Offered quite a bit of money for it, but I couldn't. I didn't. You know, there were so many people that said they owned that channel. I just couldn't figure out who really owned it, and I was afraid to. I think I told you guys at one point in time I was thinking about getting it because it was like 15,000 subscribers, and they were mostly West Virginia fans. I could have just transferred them, you know, or tried to win them over. And I had been on that show a few times, so people would remember me. You know, it was a risk, calculated, but you know, I couldn't figure out whose channel it was, man, and I could never feel Chris's Gold Blue Dude shoes. I'm not saying that either, but I tried. Oh, I got something over here in the super chat button. I'm sorry, Mo. I don't even know when this came in. God, that came in a long time ago. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry, Mo. I was off doing my own thing. If you're still on here, I hope you didn't go back to work already. He said, has everyone seen the new lights video? They look badass. Can't wait for the first night game. Let's go Mountaineers. Well, I can show it to you. If you haven't seen it, hold on one second. Hopefully this song doesn't get copywritten. You know, let me take this off. Thank you for the super chat, Mo. You're always coming through anymore, brother. Appreciate that. Pretty cool. Tell you what, man, our social media team kills it. They really do. You're eating pizza. Pretty funny. All right. Anything new on the channel right now? Yeah. Oh, did you guys see this earlier? Just the graphic that they put up. We returned 83.8% of our offensive production from last season, 94% of our rushing, 72% of our receiving. Pretty dang good. Pretty dang good, if I say so myself. Smack the devil feels to me. Some programs get their whole history considered when evaluated, and others like WVU, it's what have you done lately? Yeah, I agree. I try to consider that in every conversation because, like, you know, to say Nebraska sucks still feels weird in a way because I have reverence for their history and what they've done in college football, which is like they're on one hand, you know, like what they've done as a program, whether it was in the 70s, 80s or not, probably can't be replicated in this era outside of maybe two or three teams. So absolutely, Nebraska earns. They've always got my respect as a program, and it really pains me to bash a team like that because they help shape football, you know. But that said, they're not. Obviously, they have, just like Miami, there have been a couple teams like them that have fallen to the wayside. I guess as new teams spring up, like trying to think like in Oregon, right? And Oregon has come to life over the last since 1999-ish. And a team like Miami or Nebraska has fallen completely off. You know, if Nebraska had been what Oregon has been since 1999, most people would be happy with that. You know, maybe not their fans, but it wouldn't be like they had fallen off so badly. You know, when in reality they're not the same. Same with Miami. Although, with the thing about a team like that, is all it takes is 1 year to get, like Alabama is a great example. Somebody told me earlier, commented earlier that nobody would ever, nobody's turning down Alabama for West Virginia. Well, Rich Rod did. And they just happened to hire Nick Saban the next year, right? So it's funny how that, or maybe it was that same year. No, I think it was the next year. So Rich Rod probably would have never accomplished what Saban did. Let's just keep it real. Rich Rod's great. I think he would have stayed at West Virginia. We could have done great things. Maybe eventually it would have fallen off, but I think he had the chance to be a Frank Beamer, a Bobby Bowden, a Bill Snyder even. He had a chance to be that at West Virginia. He was so young when all that happened. It sucks, because I really feel like he was made for us and we were made for him. He's from the state. Like, everything was so much. If they could have just gave him the money, that he was asking for, but at the end of the day, it didn't happen. So here we are. And maybe it was for the best. I don't know. But Rich Rod turned down Alabama, So it's weird how things play out. Had he gone to Alabama, would they have ever turned back into what they did? But back to my original point, it only takes 1 year, really, right? All of a sudden, you look in Alabama, Nick Saban has Alabama back like never before. And they had that history like Nebraska does now. They had that history, right, from the 60s and 70s. And it didn't take very much for them to get back. So Mo loves the lights. Okay, brother. Gerbil can't wait for the coal rush uniforms at night. Neither can I. It's a shame we don't get those in week 1. That'll be tomorrow, Pokemon. I'm doing a whole show on it. So just give me one more day, brother, and I got you, okay? Thank you for asking. How's your arm doing? I believe they historically are, but they're not now, Roger. It's one of those things where both can be true at the same time, in my opinion. I think, like I said, I have reverence for them as a program, but are they what, they don't carry the same cachet as they did. I think Matt Rule might get them back, though. We'll see. They certainly off to a good start with recruiting and everything, so. Our first night game is with Kansas at home, right? Yeah, I believe so. I don't know if that's been called a night game yet, but let's see. All right. Yeah, it just says to be determined, Kenny. So as of right now, we've got 3 games that have been scheduled out. Actually, Albany's a night game. Albany's a night game at home. So it starts at 6 p.m. That's right now. The sun's going down right now. By the time halftime hits, it'll be dark. So, but Penn State's obviously at noon. Albany, that's going to be an interesting game because they're coming off an FCS final. West Virginia at Pitt is at 3:30. And then beyond that, it's to be determined, it says. So what's this? Oh, I'm going to have to watch that. Okay. All right. All right, guys. So I really appreciate you for jumping in with me on this one. Yeah, it's funny how things turn out. Like Marty Smith, of all people, picking West Virginia. Maybe it's that Appalachian connection. I'm not sure, but pretty cool, So really glad that he's able to do that and support us some. And hey, give me something to talk about. And then Brandon Walker over at Barstool also showing support to the Mountaineers. So we're getting some love out there, guys. It's much better than last year, where every time we turned around, there was just horrible conversation going on around us and about us. And glad that's over with. So hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you all 120 of you guys that are in here. One more time, if you're watching by way of X, it says there's 65. If before I get off here, if you could just repost the video for me, just anybody hit the retweet button, it would mean a lot. Trying to get this show out to other people and stuff. So unfortunately, I have to ask. I know it's annoying. I don't need to be. Just look at it as tenacity, okay? Because I have to be that way. So I have to be that way to get what I want. So appreciate you guys for stopping by, and we'll come back tomorrow with the West Virginia Penn State preview. Be looking forward to that. I'm going to try to have a guest on, but I don't know if he's going to come or not. So we'll see. All right, guys, have a good evening. Thanks for coming on. Keep coming back, like I said, and I'm out.